Great. Good afternoon, evening, everyone. Yeah, don't worry, bring some food. I understand. So, after much exciting elections, what have we seen so far in the media about risk management? About risk management. Let's put it like that. What have we seen in the media about risk management?
I mean, in terms of what the government has done so far?
Whatever comes to mind. So we've just come out of the elections. The U.S. has said that we've had a smooth process, and they have congratulated the now incumbent F&M government. They've congratulated parliamentary secretaries and the various commissioners who had a smooth sailing process. My question to you is, since then, there's been a lot of publicity in finance. So anything in finance should naturally jump out to you. What is one of the first things that, well, I hope that you were reading the newspaper, but you may not have seen. Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest, Honorable Peter Turnquest, he's now said that he's going to review
The budget.
and the Hawksbill agreement in Freeport, right?
That was today.
No, that was actually like, I think that was even from Monday, Tuesday, yeah. So they were asking, okay, are you gonna hold on to these promises that you all said? There was something else inside the papers too. Even from the U.S. side, interestingly, the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones in the futures went up. So consumer confidence globally appears to have escalated, right? What are some of the implications for the Bahamas? Tourism product, or even on investments, pensions, insurance, right?
Also something about real estate.
Exactly. Yep. Mario Carey Realty. In fact, I think he's the president of Brea,
Yes.
and he said that he's seeing a boost in not only the confidence but the level of interest in real estate in the Bahamas, so we'll be able to preserve some of the equity levels in real estate. Right? It's interesting, right? So I tell you, gotta read the paper. Like, just connect the dots. Pick up a small segment, 5-10 minutes. It adds a whole lot of value. So, I know everybody was so excited to do these multiple choice questions that I would have sent via email. Like I said, it's not an examination. What I'm trying to do is ensure that you have a test or a question bank, rather, right? Something that you can just have a quick review. At the time of your review, you shouldn't even need this book anymore. You shouldn't even, that's going to be so thick. I don't want you to be exhausted or feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, you said, because I had an email and asking about it, right?
Yes, and then I put you inside of it and I folded
I
it.
wonder why are you paying on the jump?
Let me ask Miguel. Everyone has a set of questions, right? Let me ask Miguel if he can make a quick print. Just a second. Miguel.
He sent them on Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday?
Last week.
Cause I know I had emailed him asking him because he should.
Sorry for the multiple choice
Yes,
question.
they are.
No, I don't want to bring it up on the screen.
What you said? They
No.
were harder than-
The
Sorry.
multiple question.
Bring it in?
Yeah, this yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh, you want to go out. So just let me know when the food reach, because
Yeah, no
everybody's still
problem.
hungry.
These questions are a little more difficult than the mocks. I always want to write your sit your exam.
Oh.
That's a joke.
The multiple
Oh, you have one?
you get hard.
I even know this is mine, yeah.
Oh, you have one? You want one? You have one. Principally, remember what I told you in our last session. I am preparing you for the exam, not this module.
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about necessarily this module. Right? So,
So let me ask
So
you,
let's go with it.
these are questions from all exams or what?
these are questions, some from all exams, some which I have created, some of which I've researched with the CFA Institute, with the accounting environment, with the investment environment, some from an old CFA exam, and vice versa. So you are being adequately prepared on an even higher level, so when you see certain questions, you won't be timid, right? Because if you notice the questions on the mock,
But you didn't give us the answer.
no. You're right, Shannon, you're absolutely right.
And so you could look
But
it
it
up.
was, it was just a little homework, you do a little research, and it'll help.
But we'll go.
But I'm sure-
This was a day
Sorry?
work
We'll
to
go
do.
now.
We're going over them, right now, But from the questions, right, what was your general impression? Apart from them being more challenging than the mock. You saw how they related perhaps to module 1, 2, and 3, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It did relate,
was
right?
all- yeah.
Some of the terms that we didn't even mention in the slides, but that we discussed
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
was in the
Thank God for
question bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I say the key for you being an exceptional risk management, even doing very well in this examination, is just connecting the dots, doing reading. So let's do the first one. Who wants to take a stab at the first one?
The feature of a well-functioning investment industry that gives investors the ability to quickly buy and sell a significant amount of investment without having a material impact on the price is described as A, equity, B, competitive markets, C, risk transfer, and I chose B.
Did anybody have a challenge with this first one? You chose B. Okay, the correct answer is A. It's liquidity. And well-functioning investment industry to be able to quickly buy and sell an investment without having a material impact on price. So you're looking at the. This is I would say this is more like investment, like 101. And what they're the point that they're driving is not only liquidity, but more liquid investments to be able to easily trade. So when you think about that trading element, the most easily tradable option is those that are more liquid assets. And so principally we're talking about liquidity, right? Georgina, you there? Georgina? She probably lost the register around, right? Number 2, according to fundamental.
I'm here.
Okay, great. You got the first one, right?
Yes, it's A.
Good. According to fundamental ethical and professional principles applicable to the investment industry, which group should have its interest ranked first?
Oh, yeah. Hey,
Everybody has A? Okay. Cool.
that's correct, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Absolutely correct. And you see, without even having sight of some document, you were able to read and select that correct one. You got that one, Georgina? Georgina? G or Jan? What it is? G or Gina? Thompson.
It's Georgie.
Georgina.
I just want to make sure. Regulators often seek public consultation prior to the implementation of new regulations in order to. Let's see who got this. Just give me your answers.
C,
I had B.
You have B.
the final rules.
Any other answer? You have C.
I didn't say B.
You say B.
But I was thinking,
End of the day, you don't want
Pretty
to
close.
I guess.
I gotta see the public.
C. Improve the final rules by undertaking cost-benefit analysis. It would be good, A, would be good, because you want to ensure that the rules are favorable, but rules are not necessarily favorable to everyone affected, right? Educate consumers and service providers on the new rules. Consultation isn't necessarily educating them, it's getting feedback as well. So A and B cancels out each other. When I come to you for consultation, that's not me telling you what you need to hear. That's me getting proactive engagement and having discussion with you so that we could then establish something that is of mutual benefit, right? So the answer will be C. 4. A financial advisory firm that implements internal policies regarding information barriers, suitability standards, and restrictions on self-dealing is addressing issues related to which of the following types of regulation? And this was interesting.
This was tricky.
Let me get some answers for this
And I
one.
still don't have an answer.
I have A, but I had chosen C first.
Why you have A? That's a Google search A.
B.
No,
Okay. Why you have A?
I have C first.
You got disclosure rules.
Yes,
Okay.
Financial advisory.
because it's spoken about policies, and so I said, okay, sounds non-disclosure.
Okay. Anybody
And
want
the
to take?
self-dealing is what got me to say, maybe sales
Yeah,
practice.
I had C, but it could be B. When they talk about what she's talking about, self-dealing,
Mm-hmm.
restrictions, suitability standards, it's kind of, I don't think it's A.
This one.
What's the third word in this question is advisory. Right? Advisory. And whenever advisory ties to self-dealing, it's associated with trading, sales, or marketing. Right? Now, because they said information barriers, information is usually associated more with sales as opposed to investments, which is associated with trade. Right? So, by process of elimination, without even knowing any definitions, it would be A. Sales practice rules. Trading would focus on investments, interest rates, market makers. Sales would speak primarily to the information, suitability standards, and any self-dealing.
But so with trading rules,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at trading rules, they also,
That's why I said it could be either one of those. But what causes it to be more sales is the advisory aspect of it. So that's why I said the third word, advisory, because this would be if they said investment advisory, this is just generally advisory. Everybody
so the answer will be A.
answers A. Yeah. So watch out for the general comments or the general positions, right? This one was easy, right?
Very, that was the easiest one.
Everyone, everyone straight with 5,
That's the
right?
only one I was sure I got right.
What's the answer for 5?
B.
Everybody got B?
Mhm.
Okay. Let's do number 6.
This one.
The last thing I mentioned in the last session, I mentioned efficiency frontier. An efficiency frontier, we have not gone into it yet, but imagine a line, simply a line, and your efficiency frontier are those variables which are closer to the line. So if you have any deviation, so imagine, I don't have a line, right? Anyways, just visualize a diagonal line, right? So if it's more this way, then that's like a coefficient or a standard deviation. We can get into the calculations of it. But ultimately, the answer would be 0.
I have B.
See, you want a strong linear. The closest it is to the line is 0. You see what I mean?
So when it's going up, it's plus, and when it's coming down, below,
It's negative. So the strongest linear relationship would be closer to the line. And that's the efficiency. So they could give you something like, okay, investment B has a number of shares with this dollar value. They could say investments A has this number of shares and this dollar value from this country and the next country, and they will baffle you with all these things, and they will simply say which one is most efficient. All you gotta do is look at the graph and see which one closer to the line. You say, bam, say, you don't gotta do no calculation, right? I just giving you some little question answering techniques for your exam, right? Closest to the line, but it's actually the investment that has the less standard deviation or the strongest mean. We can get into that later, right? So the standard deviation would be the level of risk.
Would you say before the strongest rate is the investment that has
The investment that has less deviation.
was that did you say correlation? Did you use it?
No, the most efficient.
Okay.
So what they're gonna do is they're gonna, for efficiency frontier questions, they're gonna give you a multiple set of investments, right? And they're gonna overload you with a lot of information.
So that thing is the efficiency frontier?
That's the efficiency frontier. So ultimately what you're looking for, could you remember your statistics? Regression, standard deviation, mean? Okay, maybe not.
That's the thing with the bell curve.
With the bell curve. Now, remove and draw one line in the middle of a bell.
Right.
Good example, right?
45.
Right. One line in the middle of a bell,
Right.
right? You got those that move in to your left would be negatively skewed, right? Those to your right would be positively skewed, right? And then they could talk about marginal returns and profits and losses, but they would say which one is the most efficient. Only the investments closest to the center of the bell. And so those are the investments with less standard deviation and more mean. So mean would be margin of return. When you have a weighted average on all of the investments, and when I say weighted average, we're talking about portfolio. Remember we talked about asset allocation, portfolio management, this kind of thing? You have a set of investments within your portfolio. It's not going to be one, right? You could have bonds, you could have shares, you could have liquid cash, you could have foreign exchange risk, currency risk, all these various things, right? And so after you take into consideration all of those components, which one is the most efficient? If they give you a graph, good. Look at the one closest to the center. Or if it's more regressional, look for the frontier closest to the line, right? So that's the general principle. We can get into it a little bit more.
Okay.
So correlation coefficient. Okay, good. 7. Anyone take a stab?
C. I think.
Any other answers?
A.
You got A.
Oh.
A and C.
I have B.
You have B.
I guess so.
Perfect. Why you say
Firstly, it's talking about the company's only product,
A?
right?
Mhm.
So I just say, I said, I think it wouldn't be a unit, because I mean, unit would pretty much be you specifying, I guess, a particular product.
Mhm.
So that's why I went with elastic.
I thought about flexibility and I said elastic,
Man, all I'm saying elastic. Which one though?
just elastic.
So purely elastic, right?
That's what I thought.
So what is elasticity?
I said flexible.
What is elasticity?
It fluctuate with whatever, that the price of the product would be changing up and down.
Elasticity simply means how people move with whatever emotion that is going on. So if something is highly elastic, I'm going to be highly emotional and I'm going to act on that. So what you saw in the newspapers maybe 2 weeks ago, something on BOB, right? So what was that? That news was elastic to create almost persons going in and trying to get the draws and, you know, run on the bike, per se.
So what is unity?
Unity elastic is only specific to that, the same principle, but only specific to that investment or product.
So the answer for that one is A?
The answer to that is A. See, because they say a decrease in the selling price of a company's product, company's only product. So the company's only product, see, they try to trick you. You think you're talking about one product, but the company only have one product, right? So results in an increase in the company's total revenue. So they just reduced the price of their only product, they increase in revenue. So what that meant? That's like BTC saying,
And
listen, we got our phones, Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, for $100. They only need to put it on Facebook. 5 minutes. In less than 10 minutes, they can have a line outside. Right? So that unit product is elastic. But this is the only product of this company, so that is elastic. So on the general principle. Right? And it wouldn't be inelastic because people ain't gonna see that and be like, oh, no, I ain't into that. They ain't gonna say that. So inelastic is the complete opposite. So as your prices go up, well, it probably will be less sensitive.
But and they speaking to the demand for the product here,
Yeah.
so the demand for the product would be inelastic.
In what context? In the
In this question here, they talk about the demand for the company's product is, so the demand,
okay, let's think about it like this. Let's read it again. If a decrease in the selling price,
Right.
something that you used to buy or something that is being sold in the market,
right,
the price is now reduced. As a result of that price reduction,
right,
sales have gone up,
right.
right?
So then the
So
demand
my-
actually
So my
increased.
buying power,
to the volume, because of the volume.
exactly,
sales.
higher sales volume, my buying power increase. I go on crazy because think about it like a sale.
So that, so sorry, that means the demand for the product has increased even though the price has
Yes.
gone down.
Yes.
So
And
that's
that's well, the demand went up because the price went down.
Right, that's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said.
That's what you're saying, yeah.
So this does not mean that the product itself is inelastic, that it doesn't matter if the price goes down, you still have a higher demand?
Principally, you want to focus on elasticity, the principle of elasticity. The unit elasticity, which you're referring to,
Mm-hmm.
would be if they have different
be
number of
straight.
products.
Okay, cause, no, I look at the definition.
Mm-hmm. You think about the opposite movement, right? As prices go down, the demand will go up. You're
Right.
thinking about the
Well, no, the
inverse relationship.
Yeah,
Don't look at it like that. Remember, it's situational. It's situational to the actual circumstance, right? So let's put it like this:
so.
if the price went down,
Right.
but sales didn't move,
Mm-hmm. Then the
We-
product is inelastic.
we know it's inelastic.
Okay.
If the price went down and sales went down, You could also say it's inelastic because the objective of the company to reduce the price was a strategy
Okay.
to increase sales volume,
So
right?
so it'd be the same if the price goes up and sales stay the same. It's the same thing.
Inelastic. Remember, principally, elasticity is consumer responsiveness. So if you tie it to investments, right? Let's say a bank in this market reduces their shares on BIS6, right? Most people ain't even can buy it, or they may not have an interest in buy it because number one, I mean, maybe the investment level in the country is at a certain level, but persons may just not have an interest. Let's say if the bank was BOB, right? Who's gonna run to go and buy, right? And I don't wanna use BOB as the example, right? I don't wanna use BOB as the example, right? But, I mean, this is a real life situation that we're facing, right? So we have that general concept, right?
Okay.
And the terms that the reason I wanted to go over this because this touches a lot of different modules. Just these 30 questions alone. I'll give you some more questions by the way, as we continue to go along, right? So, number 8. This was interesting as well. What's the answers for 8?
I have no idea, but I said B.
I guess.
I said,
Yes,
I said B too.
You said B? Okay. B is actually the correct answer. Yeah.
It's correct?
Yeah. Which of the following actions taken by a central bank is expansionary? If the central bank increases the reserve requirement or the capital reserve requirement, what is capital needed for? What is capital? What is capital? We have a company, we want to start up a company, we have shares, those shares have value, I have that capital, and I need that capital to run my business, right? A capital reserve is a regulatory imposition to say, based on your risk profile, I need you to hold so much in reserve that you cannot use.
Right.
So if I increase the reserve requirement, that's less working capital. You ever heard the term working capital for that company. And if they have less, then that means possibly they're not going to produce at the level of efficiency that they would like. More money is always better, right? They can market more, they can advertise, they can, engage internationally with better trading relationships. Increasing the policy rate, right? Increasing the policy rate. Increasing the policy, if I increase the rates, right? At a regulatory level, that rate increase, let's just say prime. I increase prime. Are you not sure what I did? I don't know. Just play. Let me see. Sorry about it, guys. Do y'all have something smaller? Anyone can break it 20? Oh. I mean, 50? Break it 50?
Check.
Oh, you have a 10? You could bring, maybe give it 2 down. How much? 27. 20, 30, right? How much you said? 27? Let me have 5. I can give it to you. You can bring it in actually. When she finished. Okay. So if I increase a policy rate, policies, regulation doesn't sometimes always go with business, business development. So, I think, sorry, 1 second. You have cups?
I get some.
think you have any? What, did she bring plates?
No, I
Sorry. Sorry, let me just go grab some. Napkins? Apologies, guys. Okay, so just help yourselves. Just this is sausage. I do sausage and pepperoni. Let me put napkins. Ain't nothing like a Domino's napkin. Okay. So feel free. Just take one and pass it down. I'll just kind of go through while you're eating. So we got one, right? We got that which one that was? Number 8. We got that one, right?
Yeah.
We good? Alright. So up. You want some soda? Some soda? Soda? Soda for everybody? They didn't have Coke, so. I just kind of got this. I think we should have enough pizzas, so if somebody just wants 2 pizzas, I mean, just go right ahead, you know. I don't know anybody who eats 1 pizza. Alright. I certainly can't eat all those pizza. And I won't give them no pizza because this for our class. So don't be shy. I don't eat pizza.
You don't eat pizza?
No. I mean, I'll eat it if it's there. But I don't eat
there?
it. Yeah, there. I can eat it. Yeah, man, but I'll make sure y'all got something. Oh, I bought an extra one, hey. Okay. Steven give me $5. So.
Yeah,
Put this over here too. Alright. Okay. That's the pepperoni?
Yeah.
You sure? I mean, kind of just circulate it if you don't want a pizza. You good?
We have to have one.
Yeah, Georgina, we got pizza, sorry. I know you at home, right?
Oh, she missed
Yes, I'm home. It's okay.
Oh, that's great, that's great. I know you always having snacks, so this is our time to have a snack.
We have pizza. Jermaine.
You want the pepperoni?
No, no.
The sausage. Oh, yeah, you want some. Alright, cool. Pizza right there in case you want some more. Alright. You can just rest it right here, just leave it up there. Alright. So number 9. Number 9 is C.
Hold on.
Which of the following government action would most likely lead to an increase in the level of aggregate demand?
Lead to,
An increase in the level of aggregate demand.
okay, I had that.
We got that right? Okay. Aggregate demand is at the consumer level, and the first two are government, more government benefit, right? The capital gains aspect of it is related to the business level. So this is really only the shareholder or stakeholder benefit. And so imagine getting taxes on shares and dividends. And so if the government relax the taxation at that level, then it'll increase the aggregate demand. Right?
What are transfer payments? What were they referring to them?
Transfer payments are sometimes associated with payments between ministries, usually in our context for, let's say, government registered stocks or any bond issuance. They would have transferred a certain allocation between, they may have had an objective for the bond issuance itself, but because of, I guess, maybe the capital need, they had to pierce away from the corpus to apply it elsewhere. And then transfer payments, that's local, right? There's an interdependence on that transfer between ministries. Then you have international, where you have embassies and they need to supplement on certain level of income. Really, it's just a movement of resources.
So that's like internal.
Yeah.
They're not creating anything.
They're not creating anything. And ultimately, it's not giving any relaxation on the investors. So they transfer payments could also be associated with imports, right? So they make in payments between sovereign nations. They reduce our reserve level, and if they reduce our reserve level, then they're going to impose more on the citizenry to kind of build that capital back up, right? Kind of like what we're facing now, right? With the implementation of that. Number 10, if Mexico is running a large current account deficit with Canada, this is your foreign exchange rate risk. Which of the following will most likely occur? Think foreign exchange. B. Answer is B. If a company is liquidated, proceeds from the asset sales are distributed to common shareholders. B. After secured debt, investor and preferred shareholders' claims are paid.
We spoke about this in the first class. You said this exactly.
I did?
Oh my God, hold on.
Awesome. In fact, this should have been covered under your first or second module, I think. Should have. Really the allocation of profits after liquidation of a company. Or any distribution, as a matter of fact, even if they're still in operation, right? This one was interesting too. Which of the following is not a sovereign bond issue? What's a German bond?
So because I didn't know what that was, I thought that was the answer.
That's like a U.S. Treasury. That's like a U.S. Treasury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But that's just Germany's, right?
That's the name for it.
Specific to German now.
Specific to Germany.
Yeah.
And then B is U.S. Treasury note, right?
So A must be B.
So A is the answer. Remember, sovereign is country level. So municipal is for that specific state. So it's just a state within the country.
That's like saying Cat Island is a sovereign nation.
Right, exactly.
Sorry, what did you say 11 was?
11 is B. We're on 12 now. 12 is A.
Oh, yes, okay, thank you.
13. Which of the following bonds contains an embedded option that provides the issuer with certain rights? This was interesting also.
I have no idea, but I
I
guess.
have C. I have C.
I guess A.
So that was one of those, if you don't know the answer is C.
That's his A, if you don't know. I thought it was C.
I put A.
What is a puttable
Even
bond?
though I guessed.
Forget puttable bond. What is a puttable option? What does puttable mean? Okay, what rights what does an issuer have for a bond issuance?
They could call it away,
Could change it.
so they could call it away,
The
which
print-
means they can buy it, that means they can buy it back from you.
Exactly.
So putting it away means that you could sell it to them, right?
Puttable and convertible are benefits at the investor level. Callable is for the issuer.
Right.
So it's like they're doing a short sale and they may not have sufficient equity to cover the necessarily hedge the risk. And so they say, you know what, let me put an option in this bond to call it back if I
Right.
need it. So principally like the reinvestment to cover my risk for me to call it back, or if I see as a benefit for me to retain that. But puttable, I can, at the investment level, at the investor level, puttable, I can exercise the option to place it here, there, or anywhere for my investment. So this is where I was talking about reinvestment. So I have a puttable option to trade with Germany instead of US because the US foreign exchange rate went down, so I want to put that here. I want to put it there. Convertible, I want to be able to convert it to shares for me to easily liquidate or cash at the time of when I need it. But the question asks about the issuer, and the issuer is callable, right?
So now it's B.
Yeah. 14. This was interesting as well. In contrast to forward contracts, future contracts
C.
Take a guess. I
Put
put
it through
A.
to C. A. The answer's A. What's a forward contract?
I don't like the second page.
You don't like the second?
My first page was pretty easy.
A forward contract is, remember we spoke about futures, right, earlier. We spoke about futures even I think in the first session in fact. When I talked about NASDAQ and the Dow Jones, the futures went up.
Wow.
So the futures are on a standardized exchange. Forward contracts is really just a benefit or an option at the investor level, and it's a term in a contract. It's saying it's
Forward, are you saying?
yeah, forward contracts is it's really a principal aspect of an agreement that says I want to have a benefit in the future. It's synonymous to future contract, but forward is just a term. Future contract is an actual investment. So forward contract means, okay, I want to buy into Apple shares at a future price of $10, even though the price right now is $5. I want to buy it at 10 because I believe it's going to be 20. Right? So that in the future at that time, if it is 20, I now have a marginal benefit or spread of $10 per share. Right? So it's like a gamble. Right? And then you could do it in
So which one is this you're talking about? Futures?
this is forward. Forward. The future contract is simply like, think about it like pension, like a defined benefit, defined contribution pension plan. You want to establish some annuities, you're familiar with the annuities, that you want to get a certain payout years into the future. So So this is your future contract, and you say, I want to have this level of interest rate, I want to have this, I want to have that. At the annuity level, I have to figure out what my principal will be. At the future contract level, depending on the nature of the investment, you would simply say, I'm going to invest in this and I will redeem in the future. So that's just a contract to be redeemed in the future, future contract. Right? These are considered like derivatives.
So there's no organized exchange for forexes, like spots?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. The forex
But that's
is a little,
different from-
yeah, that's a
different
little
from
different from what we're talking
forward
about.
contract.
Yeah, that's a little
I
different.
mean, because when I think of forward contract, I think of.
You think about the foreign exchange aspect of
Right.
it. Yeah.
You could buy them, you could buy foreign exchange on.
Yeah. Foreign exchange trade is different from forward contracts. So, principally, you're right on the foreign exchange trading. But forward contracts, like I said, it's really a term in the contract. I could have any investment, and I could say I'm buying at $5. I have 100 shares. I want 10, maybe 50 of my shares at $5 now at the present value of $5. I see a future benefit that I would like to exercise, or I would like to have the option to exercise this forward. And I see that it's forecasted by the actuaries or the market makers, right? That it'll be, maybe it'll decline, or let's say in this case it'll increase. So that's at 10. So I would want to preserve my $5, and I would say I want $5 also in the future. But the $5 could go down, or the $5 could go up. It all depends on how the investor sees it at that time. And that's why I talked about the policy statement, the asset allocation, because all of this becomes important. We're going to get into some of that when we actually get into the budget. 15. Which type of private equity strategy is most likely used to finance a startup company? This was straightforward, right? Right.
Yours is, C is the right answer.
C is
Huh?
correct.
Okay.
C is correct. Venture capital. 16. In commercial real estate investment, the amount derived from discounting future cash flows of lease and rental payments plus capital appreciation represents the value of the.
That's right.
Any other answer? Any other answer? The answer is A. Hmm.
The amount derived from becoming future cash flows.
Future cash
Rental payment plus
That's MPP.
What's the formula for, what is the formula for an asset? Assets equals,
liability minus capital, right?
assets equals liability plus
Plus
capital.
capital, plus
Right?
capital. Okay.
So, you have the capital being added to the cash outflows, which could be classified as your liabilities, right? So that one was a little, I actually got this one wrong when I was doing, I think one investments, and this one always stuck with me because this one was tricky. Yeah, I just kept that.
That one just up?
Yeah, I kept that for many years. This is a very old question.
But wouldn't capital appreciation, right? When it talks about capital appreciation, those two words right there, wouldn't that be more money to assets though? just those two words with regards to capital and appreciation. Cause I mean,
No,
no,
I see where you're going.
No?
No, don't go there.
that's accounts thing.
Capital appreciation is already equity,
Mhm.
right? So they're saying you have equity,
Mm.
added to your liabilities is what you get.
Mhm.
You can get your asset.
Okay.
Capital appreciation is already equity, right?
Makes sense.
You see what I mean? That's why I love this question. This question go deep. We ain't gotta go there. We ain't gotta go there tonight because you can have a whole session on this question right here.
So what would lead you to the asset answer? Because I mean, I was looking at the capital
What's the
appreciation.
formula for an asset?
Yeah, I get that.
Just on that very principle.
Okay.
Trust me, don't allow yourself to think it's rocket science. Remember when we first started, the first module, first actually session, I said, guys, it's not rocket science. Don't get caught up in the terms.
Right.
Remember the fundamental principles. And if you had remembered assets equals capital plus liability, you already have the capital appreciation, so they bring in that equity. And now they say equity is capital, right? Isn't that interchangeable? Right? Shareholders' equity, capital, right? And discounted future cash flows of the lease and rental payments. Whenever you have this kind of classification, discounted future cash flows, that's a contingent liability. Then the rental lease payments, that's a roll from the income statement into retained earnings. And that's principally a part of equity as well as a part of liability. So when you put everything together, you have, that's what you know what your asset is. Everybody good? Right? 17. Type of bank that is exclusively owned by its members is A. I'm hearing A, I'm hearing C. Anybody else?
That's like my credit union.
C. Yes.
The mutual banks.
Yeah. And credit union, like the credit union.
I thought I was always under the impression they were more savings and loans.
I never heard of a mutual bank.
Yeah. This one was more of a terminology.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second one, and the next one.
Mhm. But this one should be, well, Stephen, you should know this one.
I think so.
No? Alright. A form of pension plan in which the participant has the ability to determine how pension contributions are invested is described as, I said it earlier when I was describing one of the other questions.
That's it. It's A.
No man, y'all did research or y'all remember that when we were discussing it?
No, I mean, most employers with that pension,
I
they give you the option.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I looked at it from
Yeah, that's what I had.
Right.
as an employee, yeah.
Okay. But you see but a lot of persons typically would get this question right because they know they have a DC plan. And in the DC plan, that's when you're able to talk about when I want, remember? Conservative, moderate, or aggressive level of investments, and then based on your risk tolerance, which you would get into, right?
You tricked me with that aggressive.
And then defined benefit. Defined benefit is from day one, you could actually calculate it 1 plus 2 times your salary plus 5%. That is what you're going to get in 30 years. Right? Endowment plan is, well, I know, insurance,
Mhm.
right?
Life insurance. Whatever.
Life insurance with an endowment attached to it. So you play in money, it's considered like an annuity. You have a certain number of payments with a hope of a future benefit.
Most time, the interest rate don't affect that. It's
Exactly.
all
Well, it
contractual.
depends. It depends.
Well, in insurance, because
No.
it's pretty much contractual.
That's a future contract.
Yeah. So the more
Right.
the interest rate increase or decrease to it.
Exactly. You see what I mean? It's so nice when you put it together. Hey, it feels so good. Hey,
One question.
man, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. When you put it together, when you put it together, trust me, it's gonna feel so good. Believe me. Right?
What was your reasoning for 17? What you said? That's
That's a terminology.
terminal. Okay.
That's a
That's
terminology.
another terminology for.
That's a
credit
terminology.
union.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
So
think
what
about it.
is
I
a
just want you to
savings
think
and
about
loan
it.
then? What is a savings and loan?
Yeah,
Savings and loan is commercial.
Is commercial as well?
That's an explanation of commercial. That's why I say once you know principally what
Okay.
a financial institution does,
All right.
then it wouldn't trip you up. Saving and loan, commercial. Then the next one is commercial. I don't even need to know what a mutual bank is, and that's the answer. If the two of them saying the same thing,
Yeah.
you see what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's why I don't stay up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning studying, because your mind can be relaxed to think logically. You can get overwhelmed and say, "Man, I don't know that." No, just be relaxed, right? That's why when you build your test, your question bank, when you build your question bank and you understand how questions are structured, you could take a step back and be able to answer it, even when you may not even been exposed to something in the question in the examination. 19. An investor attempting to replicate a price-weighted index would hold an equal okay, what's
I
the
could see, but I didn't know that that was that.
okay,
I put A.
let's take a step back. What's the objective of an investment? To get a return.
Right.
So what does an investor want to do? He wants to get a return. He wants to make money. That's a trick question. It's you see what I mean? An investment, you have an investment to make a return. An investor wants to make a profit, a marginal gain, however you want to say it. I want to increase on what I principally invested. I want to make my money, right? So, let's put it now in context. An investor attempting to replicate a price-weighted index would hold an equal amount of. Somebody said the answer already. C. I want to make sure that I have the shares, because what they're saying is that this here is price sensitive, and in the context of the investment making returns, the price go up, I have more shares, that's more money for me, we good. Don't get into all the technicalities. It can take you years and years and years to get into the tech. Understand the fundamental principle. Price weighted. 20. From the standpoint of taxes, investors will benefit from okay, let me read it again. From the standpoint of taxes, investors will benefit from
It's
Let's-
not A, because that one makes sense.
thank you. What's the next one that don't make sense?
C to me.
So what the answer is?
I put B even though I didn't understand it.
Good. Because that's the answer.
That's why. I had
I
that,
just
but didn't-
eliminated
I didn't
you.
think it
Yes,
was.
good.
I eliminated A and C. Definitely A didn't make sense.
Remember, listen to the question. From the standpoint of taxes, I mentioned it earlier, right? In the U.S., well, you know, a lot of these questions are U.S. based, right? In the U.S., they get taxed on dividends,
Right, so that is why, yeah.
so they won't benefit, right? So they would want to realize the gains via stock repurchase. And we know what a stock repurchase is, right? Everybody know what a stock repurchase is? Yes, no, maybe so. You got some pizza there. Want some pizza? Okay. Rose is in the house. Okay. All right, let's go. Uno, 21. All right. At what stage in the trading process is cash exchange for securities between parties in a given security trade? I thought this was a trick question. Yes.
When you sell, wait.
Yeah, I thought it was A2.
You're on 21. Settling, right?
That's what I thought it was
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. That's the answer. 22. The consumer pays off a car loan held by a bank with which he has no other business. Which of the following is the most appropriate document management practice for the bank to follow?
See.
Anybody else? C is the correct answer.
You did records management training?
That's
Krishna? You did that?
I got that.
Yeah. I got that one from work.
So the bank is disposed of documents?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
Well, let's go through
Some
it, right?
documents.
They're not going to return all the documents to the customer.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not going to shred all the documents. I don't even need to know what the next one is. It
Yeah.
gotta be C. You see what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which of the following is not a factor to consider in a document classification system? This one was tricky,
Yeah, that
but my IT people should know this one.
B?
Correct.
Which is not a factor.
Actually, this not got me first because I didn't
Which is
even see
not
the
a
notes.
factor. D?
Standardized document. What's considered standardized
Okay,
document?
so meaning that all the documents should be the same.
This is more of a MIS question, but I'll let our IT person.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought you were explaining it.
We don't know what direction it is.
No.
So,
But in terms of MIS, right? When you look at MIS, investment portfolio, systems generally, right? You need to be able to have standardized structure in order for your system to work effectively. So, a lot of people buy these built-in softwares that have the built-in formulae for interest and certain shares, and to be able to liaise with intermediary banks and various brokerage, and that's because they have a it's like a standardized MIS structure. So the document isn't actually paper. The document is really MIS instruction. So you want standardized. So think about it. Maybe that's not the best example. Think about it like a reconciliation. Me to you, we have a customer that had a loan. This loan was in a different country altogether, but the liability was with me. It's paid off. I'm in the Bahamas. He's in Switzerland, right? The customer's in Switzerland. You know, we have offshore banks, right? So that person paid off the loan. He already has it cleared in his system, and I now have to clear it on my side. So that standardized documentation would, via the MIS, would then allow him to liaise with me without him actually having to pick up the phone and say, hey Jermaine, customer ABC done paid bill. Right? So it's just really a structure, how to set up your systems. But that's equally as important, because remember that's tied to investment risk, operational risk. So if your systems are not set up properly, that impacts valuation, that impacts reliability of information, and investors, stakeholders are not able to make informed judgments and decisions based on what is provided to them, right?
So you're saying the documents should be standardized?
Should be standardized.
Okay, so you should
But
have-
it's in the context of that hypothetical,
Right,
but it's not
Not for this one.
not for this question.
okay.
I was explaining both sides,
Mhm.
because he only asked what is standardized documents.
So B is the answer.
Yeah. See, it's not a factor in considering a document classification system. You don't necessarily need the documents to be standardized because remember, that's a segment in the MIS.
Okay.
Everything is not going to be the same. That's not essential. But when it feeds in now to the principal output, that needs to be standardized. So 24, the possibility that a portfolio manager will lose money because the bond valuation model he uses is flawed is an example of what we just. It's so interesting. You see how this was set up? We just explained the answer for this question. So, the answer for this question is A. Operas. Let's break it down. Where is the risk in the question? What went wrong?
Portfolio manager, what was the money?
What went wrong though?
Oh,
The model was
The model was flawed.
Right.
The model was flawed. Interesting, right? So that's operation.
Yeah.
Operas. So I tell you, get your Starbucks.
Right.
Get your Starbucks. Relax. Not plugging in an advertisement for Starbucks, but get your coffee, drink your tea. You know. A limitation of the value at risk approach to measuring risk is that it fails to specify. This is the efficiency frontier question. No.
Yes, yes.
I would see
I put
that.
C too.
That's brilliant.
I did too.
That is the answer.
It is?
Yeah.
That's because no one knew, so they say when you don't know, put C.
That's another one of those.
Oh, man, I must be.
A fund manager does not compare his portfolio with the benchmark in terms of
Fees.
Fees. I understand.
everybody got fees. I see some people fixing their hair, checking their
I was
shoes.
guessing on that actually, it would be.
It's actually C.
Okay.
What should portfolios be compared against?
And the makeup of the benchmark, eh?
Exactly. Performance of its own portfolio. Right? I want conservative stocks. You want aggressive stock. Why you comparing me to you? It's totally different. I had losses because I was conservative. You got gains because you was more aggressive. You went elsewhere. You went to the US. You went to the European market. I stayed in the Bahamas. I got my BTRS, and I was because I'm risk averse, not interested in all of that. So boom, we had a decline because of the drop in the what? What did the Bahamas decline? On prime. Country rating. What's the country?
You remember the blacklisting?
No, not the blacklisting. Country
Downgrading.
downgrade, right?
Oh,
Credit rating.
Right.
I know y'all touch on credit rating, right? Y'all did,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we talked
So
about
the credit rating agencies, boom, 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 became downgrade. So I lost investments. I lost some share value or buying power, investment value on my BGRS. But my dear colleague was more aggressive. They went US and they gained. So don't compare me to her. I went elsewhere. My portfolio was structured different. A fund's manager.
Sorry. This is talking about a benchmark though. So
Mhm.
your benchmark will be your Dow. or something.
Well, in that context, right. Your typical benchmark should be relative to the investment terms, right? So homogeneous investment terms. How long them doors in your house with just a stone close?
Okay.
Yeah. Homogeneous investment terms or homogeneous portfolios, right? So basically what we're talking about is, we all know what benchmark is. You measure it against something, right?
Mhm.
So the first measure, you wanna always take the straight line approach, or the easiest approach, by looking at apples and apples, aggressive and aggressive.
Right.
There was an aggressive portfolio, and they were gaining for the last 5 years. I want to now encourage this new prospective investor to say, listen, this is what you can do, this is your benchmark. The portfolio manager has it, and they are managing to ensure that they get the same. This is the benchmark. He's not getting the exact same results, but he has something to measure against,
Mhm.
right? Because markets change, right? Another benchmark is like what Stephen mentioned in terms of the exchanges, right? So based on certain investment unit elasticity, let me bring some terms in which you all may have heard, right? Some unit elasticity with a specific investment or with a group of investments, say like Dow Jones, right? I can now benchmark that against certain portfolios because they have that same cluster risk or cluster benefit, cluster meaning just all that together, right? And I could benchmark the performance of that, so they went up by 3%, and I could say that perhaps I can realistically expect between 2 and 4%, because after all of the exchanges and maybe at closing it may be slightly different. So trading value, but yeah. So it's really assessing against a standard or establishing a standard. A funds manager's alpha is that part of the fund's return that can be attributed to, what is alpha? Just no, don't even think about financial terms. What is alpha? When you hear alpha, alpha male, right? Alpha, you're in charge. It's the ultimate thing. So a fund manager's alpha is that part of the fund's return that can be associated with what? His skill. Exactly. Right? What is? A can be the market.
Answer's B.
Answer's B.
Mm.
You see what I mean? I just want you to think about the fundamental. And you'll be straight. Which of the following is considered an institutional investor? Take a
No
stab.
idea. I guess C.
C. B.
Answer's B.
Mm.
What's an accredited investor? An accredited investor is just someone that has an investor with a good reputation. You're accredited. Is that school accredited? Is that financial institution accredited? So this is not even answering the question. The last one, a separately managed account. It's not even telling us, you see what I mean? It's not even associating with what we need information-wise. But sovereign wealth fund, sovereign being what? What's synonymous to sovereign, or what sovereign means? Country, right? I don't know the last person who say they borrowing from a country or they letting the country manage their stuff. But institutional companies or segments of certain economic environments will pool their resources, establish this fund, and simply say we want to invest in this country, at this country level. So there will be more of your institutional, like businesses, pools of companies, right? This one y'all should know. This was in Module 3. Diversification will not help reduce a portfolio's
Back to the A.
Hold on, I was, see, I put C.
answer's A. What is A?
Systematic.
Go to your notes very quickly.
That's the risk associated with the market itself.
Exactly. Compared with passive investment management, active investment management will involve
I put an A for that.
I thought it was B.
answers B. Why is it B?
Because we talking about aggressive. Well, when they say active, they talking about being aggressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you need to know when you wanna, I guess, invest in different stuff with regards to.
Right.
Yeah, when your returns can be high compared to.
You're right. When you're buying and selling, I need to look at the market.
Market, right.
When the stock market is open, everyone is on the market floor and they're watching, buy this, sell. They are constantly watching it, and that's what it's market timing.
Right.
That's what's really happening, right? So passive investment is what? You're not really watching
Don't
that.
matter.
You're not really. It don't matter. You just however it go.
Or you're just saying with the benchmark is doing and just following that.
You just follow the benchmark. You already collect your investment management fees, so it don't matter. Now, if it's based on performance, then you might become more a little aggressive, right? So, let's continue. Georgina, you got those? Thompson. Yeah, you're good with the questions?
Yep, I wanted to ask you about number 13 again.
Number 13.
Callable are at the investor level.
You know what, any more pizza?
Oh, callable. Callable is the only investor, is the only issuer right in this question. Puttable and convertible are at the investor level.
Puttable and convertible at the investor
Right.
level. So B is B.
So the answer would be B. The answer would be B.
One more sauce.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, guys, that may have jumped out at you? Remember, you have this, you're building up your question bank so that you can be ready for the exam for all of the modules. So let's just go over quickly. I just want to make sure you have all of the right answers for when you're ready to study. 1A, 2A, 3C, 4A, 5B, 6A, 7A, 8B, 9C, 10B, 11B, 12A, 13B, 14A, 15C, 16A, 17C, 18A, 19C, 20B, 21A, 22C, 23B, 24A, 25C, 26C, 27B, 28B, 29A, 30B. Please ensure that you leverage with your classmates so that those who were not able to attend class this evening are at least provided with the solutions for their benefit. Can we just look at the financial ratios briefly? Don't save any pizza for me.
When you're finished.
One more sausage and 2 pepperoni. Yeah. Your question? While you're waiting to call your question. Key financial ratios. When I saw this doing my little research, I thought this was a good high-level snapshot. The key to this is understanding the definitions and understanding how the formulae works. Some key formulae that I want you to pay attention to for your studies. Under balance sheet ratios, working capital, and reinvestment. So you could just make a mark to it, right? All the profitability ratios. Working capital and reinvestment. All the profitability ratios. You will notice that let's go to working capital. Remember we talked about the assets equals liabilities plus capital. Working capital. Principally, working capital means what capital do I have left to work with? So central bank has said you have a certain amount of reserve, your current assets minus current liabilities, right? This is also close to current ratio. The quick way to remember current ratio is you just dividing those two components, right? And all of this is the ability to be able to measure a company's health and wealth. But working capital. If you pull up a set of financial statements when you go back to work tomorrow, and you just calculate working capital, that could tell you how much equity that your company has to sustain operations. And if you just look at that particular number, right? Look at the definition. Measure of an entity's ability to meet short-term liabilities. The higher the figure, the better. However, must understand the types of current assets the entity has and how quickly they can be converted into cash to meet current liabilities. A negative figure can indicate cash flow liquidity issues. So, when they have board meetings, they are not going over the nitty-gritty. They're going very high level. How much money we got in the bank? How much did we make? What kind of growth strategy we need to look at? Are there any regulatory factors impacting the business? If there are certain investments, how did those investments, or what was the tolerance of those investments based on whatever was happening in the economy and in the world, right? Profitability ratios, all of them. Understand the definition. Liquidity ratios, current ratio, quick ratio, and inventory turnover. Debtors and creditors turnover, I mean, that's really associated with sales. This is not a sales and marketing class, but it's good to have, right? And then we don't have a lot of manufacturing companies in the Bahamas, I think, or in the UK, right? Very consumer-based environment. Debt ratios, please know these. The new talk today is about gearing.
It's about what?
Gearing. Right here in your debt service ratio, in debt ratios. Banks will say your debt service ratio. They're talking about your gearing. Give me all your debt and let me measure it against your assets. And then let me haircut that. And what does haircut mean?
Discount.
Let me discount that further to, and why is it being discounted? Why would anybody want to give a haircut? If I'm lending you, if you want to come to me for $1,000, say again?
To get a lower debt ratio.
No, they don't do it to get a lower debt
Qualify.
ratio.
And give some leverage.
Let's put it in context.
So, yeah.
You want to borrow $1,000 from me.
Right.
You want to borrow it from me, right? Now, let's put policy aside. Let's just work with numbers. In your asset portfolio, your net realizable asset value, or the money you got in the bank ready to go, right? Out of everything you own, you worth $1,200. So that's why you come to me for $1,000, because you know you can cover $1,200, right? Now, in my loan application, after I done do all the application and behavioral scorecard and all of that, right? Let's put that aside. That scorecard is being done so that I can establish the number, the percentage of haircut, or how much risk, or what a risk profile is based on the amount that she wants to borrow. Now, if you go on that 1,200 or 1,000, I would say, you know what, for someone like her, I will only lend 800. So I would say to her, okay, I can let you 1,000. I done haircut your risk profile. I done figure it's a 20% chance I'm gonna get my money. So I haircut that risk that I calculated based on the application and behavioral scorecard. And I say, give me a cash injection of 200 and I will give you 8. Right? And banks do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a hedging principle. Banks will typically say your debt service ratio is over the 45% policy mark, right? So for you to be at 45%, you technically in the 60s. Right? Because they calculate you on raw numbers. On raw numbers, you at 60%. There is no way a borrowing relationship is going to be 1-to-1. As soon as you get that money, you ain't thinking about me. You ain't thinking about me. And that's why the banks want to get salary deduction. Let me take that out before you even start thinking. In fact, people just be thinking before the money reach. Right? So, haircut, hedging, calculate my standard deviation, right? Or the risk associated with doing that business, and then I'll know what to apply. Gearing, that's your gearing. Leverage gets a bit tricky because this is more like your EBIT kind of relationships when you're looking at the financial statements. This is more like for technical accounting, but ultimately leverage, right? In the example that we talked about, the leverage that she would have is $200. Put the formula aside, put everything aside. That's a leverage. in terms of approaching me. How much you worth? You want to borrow 1,000? I worth 1,200. We could have a conversation. I worth 1,000. I'm worth more than 1,000. But you want to borrow 1,000 from me? I'm the bank. She has 1,000. You can't come to me for exactly what you're worth. It don't work that way. Because by the time I put the hedge, that's when I would call her and say, what's your name again? From City Petitioner? No, just Sal Campbell. I can say, Campbell, I received your application. After review, you actually qualify for $750.
Yeah, I say thank you very much. I wanted 12,000.
See? So that's
So your
important.
$200 sits there
Yeah.
as a
Now we could get into the
Security
technical part of it.
level.
I could say, give me cash secured, and then you could get that 1,000 easy cash secured. What is the point of that?
but that doesn't make sense.
I know, right? When banks say, okay, let's cash secure it.
Oh, when it comes to your phone.
But do you know that is actually that is a positive rejection? You know that's the new way to positively reject someone, right? They don't calculate your net worth. They don't know what you're coming for. You're making $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. You probably have your assets wrapped up in other things, and you come into the bank for $1,000. First of all, they already look at you as high risk because you come in for $1,000, but nonetheless you need the funds, right? And then they can come to you and say you want the cash secured for $1,000. No, that makes sense, right? Okay. Let's go over those terms, guys. Go over those terms. Anybody want to take a break? Because we 5 minutes break. It's kind of a lot of information. Right? Don't worry, I can go over all of this what I intend to go over, even though it is almost 8 o'clock. So I can give you all like a 5-minute break. You could kind of walk around, catch yourself a little bit, and then we'll get right back into it. But you all did the mock and stuff, right?
Yeah.
How'd y'all find the mock? I hope you're saving your questions.
I did it once.
You didn't?
I did it once. I'm trying to keep them.
See, like the questions better.
My questions were.
I said, Campbell, like the questions
Some of
better.
your questions were right. Some of your questions were straightforward answer. Like, then some are like, you want to go answers, so you can figure out if you do an senior material.
Yeah, give us these questions. Pretty much.
I can see. But I didn't say that.
I do not want you to I don't want you to memorize the questions.
Like to say, okay, I've seen that before, that answer is
Yeah.
quick. That's what you're telling us to do?
The first thing I want you to do is know the answers to these questions.
Yeah.
The second thing I want you to do is understand how the question could be flipped.
Yeah.
Either way.
I saw a lot of that too.
And then the third thing I want you to understand is the fundamental principle of each answer in the question. And that's how you study your multiple choice.
Because there are more than one question where you even said, well, I guess, yeah, that could be the answer, so then some of the questions are tricky. It could be the answer, another answer could have been the answer if you're looking from a different perspective. And you may have been thinking that way and then you get it wrong.
Did you just get hot in here because the door was closed? Let me ask them about the AC.
And the sun was shining.
Okay, let me ask a question. Y'all found the material to be helpful to answer these questions?
No, but he said the answers somebody is going
We haven't reached that
Yeah.
Oh,
as yet. He said that'll come in other modules.
no, I was saying to them if they found the material helpful in answering the questions, because I felt totally lost or blindsided.
The materials helpful for the mark.
So I literally Googled everything. And like you said, I'm being honest. I literally Googled the terms and I went through and I just, like how you say, just go through and make a decision based on the choices. So that's how I did the questions.
All I'm doing is actually reinforcing what we did in the first class. Before we even open any textbook or your book. I said, think about the terms in the context of your work environment. Think about them and apply them. And all I'm doing is saying, I want you to think about it. Don't get excited based on the term. A lot of the terms they come up with, you don't even know where they come up with. Like right now, they're talking about negative interest rates. What's the negative interest rate? Anybody just shoot up. How is negative an interest rate even make sense, right? So what they're simply saying is, we will charge you if you don't have sufficient on your investment portfolio or savings account. So you see it already. We already have negative interest rates in the Bahamas, right? They just experiencing this globally. If you don't have a certain balance on your savings account, they could charge you, right? But negative interest rate is in the context of investments. So if your investments are not making a certain portfolio, net realizable value, hopefully it's in cash, but nonetheless, if it's not making that threshold, the banks have to charge the negative interest rate because it's being imposed at the sovereign level from their central banks. And that was used to help preserve the level of reserves for the bank. But that goes into the explanation, right? So ultimately, negative interest rate is just, you're just being charged because you don't have the monies there. I'm earning negative interest rate. You don't have no money there, and we constantly running your account. Operations needed, resources are there, human infrastructure in place, and we have an account for you, and it just ain't operating nothing, so we can charge you, we're charging you on nothing. So the minute you put $1 there, that's gone. You believe that gone. Don't even look for that. Right? But I think you're doing fine. I got some emails. I tried to respond to everyone as soon as I could. But I think from some of the conversation I've had, if you get 50, if you're getting 30 to 60%, you're doing great. Yes. Understand me.
You fail.
That's like the first after the first class I did it.
Do it again.
Let's think about this, right? The mark is a representation of the entire course.
54%, that's all they've been getting.
I got 44.
Of the entire course. How many modules for this? 7?
Kitchener got 72, tell them.
They've been failing.
On my third attempt.
7 modules.
Oh,
We're on module 3. We're on module 3. We're halfway. We're not even halfway through,
5
right?
modules. 5,
So you're talking about 5 modules, right?
And the questions, so she switch up.
6 modules, sorry.
How many times you did
6,
it?
yeah.
Kish?
6.
I nodded.
Oh, you done.
That's why I said on my third attempt.
Oh,
But the questions repeat, right?
No, she said they
No,
switched.
what they did, what I noticed
you
was
see what it's doing. That's
They'll
the
add a few
they
different
had a few
was,
different
and then
ones,
they
right?
have some
Yeah.
from the previous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you say you had to keep doing it again, right?
Yeah.
I tell you, as we talking sense, as we talking sense. Listen to me.
So you don't
Did
need
you
to
time
screen.
yourself?
So if you're
How long
screenshotting
do you have?
they give
2
on the mark.
hours?
This is
How long?
good today.
4?
25 minutes.
25
No, I'm
minutes, yeah.
saying,
And the actual
And
exam
I
is
think
3
it's
hours.
screenshot it, you don't need to
I think it's
screenshot.
like
So
the
just
question.
average of 25 questions, and you're gonna have
Yes.
70 questions?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
How long it took to do it?
25 questions, and every time I finish, I had like 11
That's
minutes
like
left.
12, 13 minutes, you know?
Yeah, me too.
Plenty time.
They say, you have 17 minutes.
I'll
They
take
tell me, yeah,
Really?
15 minutes.
Half of the questions I don't know the answers to. Yeah, I've been getting up 54.
Why with that?
I got though 54. That
Why
ain't
with that?
fast.
There was value in
No.
this. But
You have 6 modules and you on module 3. Think about it.
When I did
How
it,
many
when
questions
I
is
did
it?
it was, there was a formula as well, I said,
Should be like
oh,
120 or so.
Formula.
yeah.
It's
And
written
he
or
said
is
there
it
were
I-
no formulas.
They said, I think
Computer.
they said 70
Computer
questions.
based. 70
So
questions.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
70
yeah.
questions.
And y'all have it better.
So it's multiple choice?
Yeah, it's just
And-
multiple
As
choice.
you get your results right away, right?
You get your results right away. So
Yeah.
you
I
gotta
don't,
be
I don't like that
I
part.
don't like that either. I wish,
If you answer a question, can you go back?
yeah,
Mhm.
Yes, you can.
you can go back, but once you say you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
Insurance is
Let me tell you,
that's right away.
if you spend more than 2 minutes on the question,
Real.
Move on,
you're wasting time. Move.
yeah.
If you don't know it, just move. What I did when I started the exam, the first thing I did was I just answer all the questions I knew right away. Boom, I know that. Boom. Some of the same question from the mock.
And it does show you the ones that you have
Oh, they
answered
do
that
that,
you
do
know.
that.
Oh, listen to me, believe me. And listen to me. I think it's open book.
Yeah,
and
because
then-
that wastes
and
time.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something right now.
That wastes time, I feel.
Listen, Linda. This book, you ain't gonna have time to look at
I
that.
don't think so either, it will cause you
That'll
to
just
fail.
You
frustrate
better put it up there.
You ain't gonna have to.
and distract
You can get-
everybody else when they see.
Ma, look here. You will be in that exam looking like this.
Yes.
And listen to me.
I'm not even bringing
You
mine.
ain't gonna even open that one bit. That's how serious that is. I tell you, you ain't even. You know when I looked at. When I looked at my course material, when I must be on the last question that I needed to answer, I had about 6 minutes in the block residual. One more question to answer. I didn't answer everything without the book. 6 minutes left. And I said, you know what? Let me just make sure I get this one right. And let me look for this. And guess what? I lost 3 minutes looking, trying to find the answer, and I never find the answer in the book.
Wow.
Never. Because your nerves is beyond
Does
you.
it tell you what you got to bring, what you got to
Yeah. Right then and there. And trust me, it ain't nothing like somebody.
I need to see Bob.
It ain't nothing like somebody
fail, I want to know.
failing the exam and you still in there taking the exam. It's nothing like somebody finding out they failed right then and there, and you still taking it.
Or they say
I
they
hear
fail.
so much Jesus and all kind of.
Like I said, they got a time.
So what the pass is?
You listen to
They
me.
got to push me out of
What's
that.
the
65.
70.
I think it's 70.
70.
Listen to me.
70.
By the time I don't give you all a certain number of questions, I hope to probably give you all maybe about 200 or 300 questions.
Person's like a 70.
Yeah, is that?
Like, no, when it tells you to stay at
Do
your
you
house, like, you should have the option to go back.
Can you?
No, I think, I
I
asked
mean,
him
you
to
can
get out.
take it
He
again,
said-
but you have
he
to
said
pay for it
it's
again.
3 weeks
No,
to
that's
do
what I
it. They won't allow
You
you to
can't
take
just
it
take
until
the
after
exam
3 weeks.
again later?
No, yeah,
After
later.
3 weeks?
Yeah. the second
After
time.
maybe
Class again though?
maybe a month or so.
No, just the exam.
Okay.
You can pay again.
Oh.
Yeah, you pay for the
But
exam.
no, you don't pay 45.
I think the first
Okay,
time
okay.
you may not have to pay again. I think the first time you don't pay. If you have to retake, I don't think you have to pay again. It might charge you something very nominal.
What's it in? The price with the cost.
I wasn't even getting into all
Okay,
that.
that would stay a fail.
Listen, this costs so much to pay.
Well, nowadays there's only 2 something retake.
Yeah.
It ain't too much now.
You
Right?
rather
Two something.
That's all I was thinking about. No, 2 something, $200.
Listen
And
to
what
me.
is it? Is it either fail or pass, or do you have certain levels
You
of
spend it on the
passing?
weekend.
Fail or pass.
Fail the pass.
Oh, wow.
Get your
I don't
70%.
care, I just want
move on.
70.
Don't hurt your back.
Oh.
That's my goal.
This exam is going to probably be in August or September.
August 12th. August 12th.
Oh, they're setting y'all up.
I said August.
That's a little
August
closer, huh?
13th. The 12th is a weekend, it's
It
a
says
Sunday,
on here,
so
I think it
it's
says on here.
Saturday,
Yeah,
August
August
12th.
12th.
Yeah, it's right on the front
No,
page.
listen to what I'm
page.
saying. Listen to what I'm saying, Linda.
So we could pay another $200.
No. The ceremony is be in September.
Oh, that's
If you don't pass, you ain't gonna be at the ceremony, and then your company gonna know you ain't pass.
Ma, why you gotta be like
I'm
that?
just letting you know. So failure is not an option.
That August
more
12th is a
pressure.
mistake, it's actually the 13th, because I think that's
I'm
a
just
weekend.
saying, if you
No,
plan
It's the
on,
12th. They
No,
never
he changed
it.
it.
They retaking if you pass it. They
Yeah,
didn't
they changed it.
Yeah, and the passing grade is 65%.
I know, it was 65.
70 questions.
Yes, that's what they
70
said.
questions?
Got more?
70
He said
questions.
65.
I thought it was more.
It's from 12
But
to
basically,
12 o'clock
65
to 2
easy to
o'clock.
achieve.
Yeah, 2
So if I
hours.
get 65 and I say fail, then
let me tell you the average passing rate for this course.
Oh, don't scare us.
I know, right?
It was high.
It's like about 75, 80.
You know, it would be
Oh, that's
tough
not bad.
if you say
Yeah.
like that 69.
Because it's a reflection on our nature.
You know what? I ain't even going there with you. I ain't even going there with you. Because you know something?
That's a good one.
I mean, there's a method to my madness.
Our
Sean.
lecturer
Bum,
was
bum,
like-
bum, bum.
I want you to know. You know why I want y'all to be really relaxed? Because I just want y'all to understand the concept rather than being exhausted with the terms. Understand the
I know,
concept.
like, when we were going over this thing just now, I'm like thinking, I gotta revise once again. I gotta revise this. Is that what I have to go back to it? I gotta go look at my econ book again or something
No.
like that.
So I am highlighting
Okay.
certain
No.
stuff.
I gave you extra. I will always give you extra. My hope is to give you all about maybe 200 questions before we finish between module 3 and 4.
So you're giving us questions tonight again.
I can draft some questions probably
Yeah,
tomorrow.
it's interesting.
I can send it maybe
Sorry.
tomorrow's Wednesday, maybe Thursday or Friday. I'll send it out. I'll send a little bit more. I'll send some challenging ones.
This wasn't
This wasn't challenging.
This is
I rather take my cheat for now, so when I go in there.
Think about this,
Now
right?
you feel
You see, like when we walk through this question, these set of questions right here. You see how very basic it was. You didn't even need a certain level of competency to answer these questions. Just very surface level and process of elimination. When you get into technical questions, where you either know it or you don't, that's what is hurt you in the exam.
So you pull these questions from all exams, or?
I pull them from all exams between CFA, CPA, CIRM, CCP, CFP, all of those exams which are UK based.
Oh,
So when we
okay.
finish this, we can do one.
So some of them will be on the
So when
exam.
we've done, we
I need
can
a
get
break.
to the next one time, babe.
When I finish giving you your exams, you actually can sit the first level of the CFA.
I figured that.
Mhm. You could, because it's really terminology based on formulas. I ain't going to all of those formulas, but yeah, I'm telling you. Who I had for this class was small, was in the main. This was a little different. The module was called Investment, Market, and I think Financial Statistics. The thickness of this book right now was just for her one module, and then it was supplemental information.
How long is the course? Was it longer?
I think it was about 5 weeks. 5 weeks, and we had 2 days per week. It was I think we had the Wednesday and a Saturday. That was college, per module.
Yeah.
And when I got into the exam, it was none of that stuff.
Really?
It was so bad. But I was very knowledgeable about that subject matter. You see, you ain't need that, right? You don't need that stuff. Out of the entire module, I can tell you investment and market risk, you're probably gonna get maybe 6 questions, 6 or 7 questions, maybe 10. So a little bit more than 10%, right? excuse me. But these are going to be heavy weighted questions. If for market and investment risk in particular, if you get only 2 questions, brother, just know God was with y'all. Because investment risk, and they put it in the middle for a reason in the course, because it's heavy weighted. You need to touch on it in the middle while you kind of get your mind open up with risk assessment, and then as you go along, all the concepts that you learn in investment and market risk will relate to all of the other modules, and everything will start to connect itself. But it's just that my teaching style is a little different. Right? Okay, so let's get into it. Georgina, you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you got all of that, right?
I did.
Awesome, good. So let's talk about risk. It's 8:09. I'm going to go over all of this material in about 30 minutes. And I'm not going to hold y'all up. I'm going to send y'all some questions which should cover the time difference of the material I want you to cover. Right? Hopefully I won't go over. So just bear with me. Doesn't it feel a little cooler now? So it was the day. Alright, so risk tolerance, the degree of variability in investment returns that an investor is willing to withstand. We started talking about it: aggressive, moderate, conservative, risk tolerance. Now we're going to get into it. Risk tolerance, what does it mean to you? Risk tolerance simply means how much can you tolerate. So you have an investment, and you want that investment to give a certain level of returns. You want to have certain characteristics in the investment. Let's say it's exposed to foreign exchange risk, some currency risk, some institutional risk or business risk, and some general op risk. And you want to know for yourself how much level of risk can this one investment tolerate. That's when you get into that hedging principle. That's when you get into that haircuts. And you use a lot of investment managers, benchmarking, elasticity observations to assess how much something can tolerate. What's the best way to figure out how an investment could tolerate a certain level of risk? If you don't know, if you have not invested in that product before. History, exactly. History in any form, whether by discussion, whether by financial statements, whether by maybe actuarials, and they giving you information as to how the investment previously performed under the same conditions. The key is the conditions, right? Remember, think about investments like this. It's a building. Everybody have different buildings. But how was the building structured? What was the purpose of the building? Right? And then you have to take into consideration degrees of efficiency by way of depreciation. Soft investments depreciate, even though it's not a physical or tangible asset. They depreciate. And they depreciate because of the advancement of technology. They depreciate because new structured products now come into the market. Your investment may not be as innovative. Savings product is no longer attractive. It used to be attractive. They now implement negative interest rates. So I have to try and find a way to structure my investment in certain portfolios. Government bonds were not as attractive years ago because they were more considered for a class of risk-averse investors. Now people have an uncertainty about the future, notwithstanding what's happening in our world, but globally, there's an uncertainty about the future. And so people are now looking more towards sovereign investments, right? So risk tolerance, aggressive. Aggressive is synonymous to risk seeking or risk lover. Remember these terms, guys. Why is this here?
Let's see if I can move this down.
I'm moving you out of the class, Georgina. I just putting you down a little bit. Alright.
That's
So-
fine.
Risk seeking, risk lover. Remember these terms, that's why I put them in red. Aggressive, risk seeking, risk lover. I think we had another risk word. Somebody mentioned class before. There was another category of risk. But in any event, this is that investment or fund manager who is constantly doing this market timing, constantly assessing how I can hedge this and look at this and look, everything all happening within seconds. Every moment counts, right? Moderate risk tolerance. This one could be a little tricky when it comes to investments. This one is pretty basic. These are standard. The moderate one. Think about efficiency frontier. We talked about the bell, right? So risk neutral. I will take a certain level of risk, I will take a certain level of investment commensurate with my risk. It's not really risk averse because I'm willing to take on a certain number of risks. But this is what a lot of the financial professionals use. I will accept the risk. I will be risk neutral on a certain perspective. And I like this word here, balance, because it's all about the equilibrium benefit or the equilibrium characteristic of the investment. How does this balance off? In this instance, you don't typically get ebbs and flows. You have the volatility in this portfolio, right? But ultimately, what happens is this type of portfolio usually ends up with a break even. Usually. And so the moderate risk tolerance investor or the risk neutral or risk acceptant, what you will find is they will pull out as soon as they get a certain level of benefit. You gambling in Las Vegas and you say, man, I didn't win this. You know what? I don't play no more. I ready, go. I didn't win my money back. If it took you lost your money maybe January, February, March, April, May, first quarter, second quarter, you lose. The next 2 quarters, you just win your money back that you lose. You happy and you gone. You just wasted a whole year. Right? Because if you were more market receptive and was observing the trends, you may have had a trajectory within the following or subsequent year, 2 quarters, first and second quarter, and you may have that's when you would have started making your returns, right? Or your investment life cycle, right? In terms of wealth. Got to go back to those terms, guys, because when I throw them out there, I don't want it to sound like foreign language. Conservative, straightforward, we ain't into nothing, we ain't interested. This is what we want. Very minimal risk. That's how we can do it. This ain't working anymore. Wait. This working. And if I turn it this way. Anybody had one of those Nintendos? You had to kick and blow and stuff. Yeah, it's that. Let me just check with them to see. It was working earlier, wasn't it? Right. That's working. Let me just check with them real quick and see. If not, then we'll just do it manual. Just one quick second. Hi. There's something up with Sarah. It's not working. It's like you have different remote controls in the house. Just alright.
The line was on the road. When you
Yeah,
shined
the-
it on the wall, I saw the red beam.
I don't think
Probably some with the system. Yeah, the light come on.
anyone else have an Android device at home.
It came on just now.
Yeah, the red light coming on, but
But the change it.
yeah. The change doesn't allow. You're trying to find a receptor.
New battery.
That's the bird on the side.
This one here. Let's see. No, can't
Maybe
be.
on the other side.
Let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about that. Let's go. Where's my buttons? Right. Did this thing freeze or something? Yeah, I think it
It's a
froze.
system.
What in the world? Oh no. I don't know where they have it saved. Oh, it froze. Okay.
Start restart.
See now. Yeah, but IT people. Use an ID?
That's right.
Okay, there we go. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Tell it me. Alright. Good. Alright, sorry for that little interruption. So this is just a quick snapshot about risk averse, risk acceptant, risk neutral. So, where would my risk acceptant person fall? Think about the definition. I accept the risk. Oh, sorry, risk lover, risk seeking. Aggressive.
The
High
top
risk.
right,
Yeah.
top right hand corner.
This one here?
High reward.
Yeah.
Okay. What about my risk acceptant, risk neutral?
Low risk,
Low risk, low reward.
Really?
Low risk, high
Low
reward.
risk, high reward.
Low risk, high reward.
Really?
Which person is this?
Right in the center,
Right.
Exactly. Right in the center.
breaking.
Right in the center. This them. This consider that as a plus sign or balance. They're between high and low, so they are classified really as medium. Right? So medium. Generally, they like to pull out when they get low risk, high reward. Here. That's what I was talking about in the example, right? And I'll make this money, my portfolio is doing good, let me pull out quick. Right? What about the risk averse? Lower risk, low reward. You're not wrong about this one with the risk neutral. But fundamentally you want to have them at a medium level of risk, right? Because for them it's neither high nor low, because they're always hedging, right? Investment objectives. Trade-off between risk and expected returns should include both risk and return objectives. Factors affecting investor tolerance. Psychological factors and economic factors. Right? Let's go back. Psychological factors refer to what? Just psychological. How you feeling, right? And economic factors refer to exactly. Whenever we actually already went through this. Every time when we met, we talked about the newspapers, we talked about.
Sorry, do we have different?
Yeah,
Different
ours
slides.
is
Slides
Personal
are different.
factors.
Do you have it?
It says personal
And
factors.
you have
No, the
economic
new
factors
ones.
there.
That's why Miguel printed the print.
Are those ones he gave us today are new?
The ones at the back?
This was an addition to it.
No. This is to be added in. 1 and 2. I asked Miguel to print them off.
So this is an error?
Yeah, no, that was an error. I added the 2 slides to give more explanation.
Can you email those to me?
Sure, I'll email those.
Because it still says personal factors continued. It says personal factors and psychological.
No, yeah, that's the new slides. That's the new slides.
So I don't see economic factors.
I'll send it to everybody.
Okay.
I'll send it to everybody. Just for right now, just write economic factors.
Yeah, that's personal factors.
Yes. Psychological is actually personal. Right? You got that, Thompson?
Yes, so we're just adding, economic factors and besides typical factors / personal.
Right. For right now, what I want you to do is just kind of follow the slides. I'm going to send them to you. In fact, I'm going to send them to everyone so you have a seamless flow. Remember I mentioned I'm going to be reviewing
And added.
the slides and I'm going to be editing, adding, or taking away
Yeah. Okay.
where I see the values needed. When I did that, I saw that this needed to be put in there.
Okay.
All right. So, feelings. How you feel? How you feel? We ain't got to talk about that, right? Overconfidence. Y'all have you have this one now, right? Okay. Oh, now it ain't working now. Now we did. Oh, come on. Please.
That's okay.
Okay, here we go. Means when someone has more confidence in his or her abilities about some situation, they misjudge their abilities, knowledge, skills, and availability of information. When you're making an investment, it's not good to be overconfident. However, if you have perfect information, I don't see anything wrong with that. And perfect information could come by way of what medium?
Is perfect information inside the trading?
Yes.
And you say you don't see anything wrong with that?
No, I'm not saying there's something wrong with insider trading. I'm saying if you have perfect information, you may have been an inside trader. And I was eavesdropping, we hanging out at I like to use VL. We hanging out VL. And you saying, boy, listen, trust me, them shares by Cable Bahamas is gonna go up in the next so. If who don't buy, they lose. Drunken man speaks a sober mind, right? So, I go by, and maybe I check on Facebook and I say, man, this gal is a deep gal, and she an investment, she knows what she talking about. Boom. I just try it out. Everybody coming around me, man, listen, you sure you doing this? Man, I trust me, I feeling this. And I did my own research too. Right? I'm not going to be the one overconfident, but you are the one overconfident because you have perfect information. I don't. But because of maybe the environment that you're in, I benefited from that eavesdrop conversation. So you're going to be overconfident in that case. Right? Oh, they're doing it to me today. Oh, here we go. Optimism. All will be better than the examination. Originate from overconfidence. You're feeling positive about everything. And these are usually where the investor thinks the market will go up. I'm sure you met some optimistic people, right? Everything to them is just a good thing. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a place for that. Fear of loss. Natural. You're afraid you can lose anything, so you only do it. What type of people are those? Risk averse. Overconfident would be what? Risk lover, risk seeking. Optimism would be where? You're just very positive. Everything's going to go great. Don't mind the downgrade. We're going to be great. Risk acceptance. I mean, by process of elimination, you could just get the next one. Right? Herd behavior. Now this is interesting. This is what happens in the Bahamas. My friend, family, cousin, auntie, uncle from up the road, they tell me I should do this. In fact, I don't know one fella, my neighbor and his cousin friend do this thing and they make money, so we need to do it too. Herd behavior, right?
Like that little travel thing that everybody's
doing. You know it. Positive attitude, synonymous to what we talked about earlier. But this one is slightly different. They think they should take on more risk in order to earn more profits than others. A little bit unique twist to it. Consultancy effect. I can talk to all the professionals I know. People can pull me on the side. Mr. Williams, you work in Central Bank, man, tell me about them BGRS, man. Tell me about them BGRS. Or they'll come to me, you think this bank closing down? What you think? They don't really want to know, they don't really want to know my personal opinion, they want to know my professional opinion. And that's free advice, right? The other one is when you go to the financial professionals, you literally sit down with those brokers and you figure out what is best for you. Because I am risk neutral. I can take on some risk, but I will make sure I get my advice before I do it. And what protects the broker or investment manager or investment advisor on giving risk if the risk neutral person loses money? What protects them? In the agreement. What if I am giving you advice and you lose money? What protects me in our agreement? Close. Indemnity. Right? Indemnity. Make a note of that too. In every investment management agreement, investment management, advisory, brokerage, they always have indemnifications. And they qualify to say that they made you aware of all of the factors and the decision is yours and the investor bears the risk. Whether gains or losses, you bear the risk. So, you will rarely find, almost nowhere professionally, where someone will actually, an investment manager will actually tell you, that you, an investment advisor will actually tell you to invest in A or B or C. Unless they are what? Unless they are receiving retrocessions or they're receiving a commission on certain investment, because then they may have perfect information, right? And what is that called in financial world? Rational self-interest, right? Cognitive bias. This is what we do in the Bahamas. We do this too. Something happened. We are the most knowledgeable people that don't do research. Because we make decisions based on our own experiences. Right? And in fact, we do it based on maybe even the observations of others. Money lose money over there. I ain't going over there. You think I ain't over there? That ain't happen to me. I don't need no rocket science. I don't need no degree for that. But guess what? Maybe the time when you go in, that's when you make that money. Never know.
We do that with food. No, we do that with food, seriously.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You know, that's like Mother's Day, right? I went to, I can tell you on my sport, you know. Anyway, I went to cricket club, right? Cricket club is a sport. I want you all to understand. I know that's supposed to be heroes.
What did they hit the
My
miss?
brother, oh.
Listen to me.
They didn't miss.
I don't know what you all be doing. Don't go to cricket club, order no burger. That ain't Burger King. I got some stew
Pie.
count. I don't know shepherd pie. I ain't nothing from England, no UK person, right? I get the stew count religiously whenever I get that stew count. I don't know who this person is. I've been going there for years. That stew count tastes the same. I can bet on that. Listen. I go on there. The people didn't have to, well, you know, Mother's Day was just haywire, right? Everywhere. They ain't had no menu. The table wasn't clean. You know, I come there with my family. I get the cloth. I wipe down the table. I pack up the stuff, put it aside, and I say, listen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give us 5 stew count and give us 5 lemonade. That's what we get. We ain't need no menu, nothing. People was in there waiting for the longest. And we got served before them. People thought I worked there. Because even after we finished the food, I took the bowls in the back because I ready for dessert now. No man, I just know what I want.
They
See,
know him by name.
man, listen.
You treat us to wash the bowl.
And they so cute right now.
They get up. They get up. They get up.
The owner's wife, she's straight up like.
Listen. Cognitive, right? Let's say emotional intelligence. You know this, you know, 5-star, 5 diamond. Why you coming in there in your finest garment, sitting up like a peacock, trying to feel special? You know you only come there to eat the food. Don't expect no 5-star service. That ain't gonna happen. Listen, give me that over there. That, put that over here. I coming right back. That's how you gotta operate. You know where you know where you dealing with. You know, that's the same way how ladies, you know, y'all coming back in the airport from Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and y'all have these big boxes and stuff, and y'all trying to negotiate. You don't know you could only do that with Bahamas Air. You can't do that with no other airlines because you don't know how they go.
Exactly.
You be measuring up and sizing up in the hotel room. You could always. I love my Bahamians, boy. I tell you, you could always tell when they traveling.
Better do
Everybody in the lobby, big towers. But listen to me.
The bell where they got that.
Listen to me.
You push it, the
And you
trolley.
get,
Yeah.
and in every household, I don't care what no fella say, dad, wife, fiance, significant other, woman, she become a beast. That's
I opened it.
listen. When I say a beast, it's a beast in a good way.
I know what you
Y'all got all the passports.
I
Y'all
know
got all
what you
the money.
mean.
Y'all got all the papers. Like we just did a lift. That's all we doing. We just did a lift and y'all using an exemption.
Alicia.
That's what happening. And you got all the kids them ran over there, even the cousins, the sisters, the auntie, everybody.
How old are you?
And you know it's so interesting, right? It is so interesting. There is no matter how many females there, it is always be that alpha female. I don't know the mother or the Grammy. It's always be that alpha female that is just have everybody in check. Like you just humble.
Just gotta
Somebody
know.
has
When
to-
you
just
traveling,
like-
you just gotta act different.
Where this? She just militant. Boy.
Can't leave nobody get left.
But that's cognitive. That's cognitive. I know my role when we go away. I know.
Just left them by.
And this be
That's right, and don't
and
get
it is
me.
be just like that until you reach home.
And dry.
Not even until you reach home. Then she's the custodian. She's the bring everything, put it right there. Put it put it right there. Okay?
Tom said you're quiet.
You too accurate.
Put it right there.
Antonio.
And then we can share this up. We can share this up. Don't touch nothing. I ain't checking if that jeans you won't put. Don't touch nothing because I don't know where I put everything.
Yeah,
Leave it.
More back.
Listen to me.
More backpacks for those kids.
Listen to me. Economic factors. Right? So now we're looking at global environment. We're looking at everything what could be external. Right? Performance of a company. We ain't gotta go there. Price movement. Investment objectives, guys. Remember, investment objectives. Price movement. Risk aversion. What that sound like to you? Risk aversion. This could fall between a median of risk neutral and risk averse. Right? But this is an external factor. Economic factor. Why this they really trying to tell us we need to go home, man. What? You don't even look at the time when you tell me what we looking?
It's 8:45.
What? Hold on. Okay, let me just go over this quickly with y'all. Let's see how this can. Well, we did miss a class, right?
Yeah, you said we would go a little
Yeah.
extra every class to make up for it.
So let me take it to 9 o'clock. So I'll cover some more material, right? Risk taking capacity. This is critical too. Risks, attitudes, belief, and perception. 3 important determinant factors of risk-taking behavior. Risk attitude, beliefs, and risk perception. Profitability, that going back to business risk. General goals, minimize risks of real loss, growth of portfolio, generated income, maximize return. Straightforward, right? Liquidity needs. time horizons, tax concerns. These are all investment constraints. These are all the factors that are critical when you are considering the investments. Minimize my risk of loss, ensure I have growth, I'm making money, good returns, liquidity needs, time horizon. Remember that time horizon we had earlier? Tax concerns. May not be relevant to the Bahamas, but it's a general perspective, right? Investment constraints. Remember I told you about the regression? The efficiency frontier is just like that. So imagine if these were just dots all over. At the points is the efficient frontiers, right? But the most efficient would be at the center, right? But that's for a different graph. I only did that because I saw this graph. So that will show you how you can even put it there. Risk loving, risk seeking, risk neutral, risk averse. And you can kind of even see at a glance right there and there, high, low, medium, short, duration of investment timeline, right? Legal and regulatory factors. These are more investment constraints. That's important. This is all about prudence. We talked about insider trading. Have a look at that. Unique needs and preferences. Some of those we already talked about. That's a good read. Asset allocation. We talked about those as well. I'm just going to go over it very quickly. Allocate your assets to ensure that you have good diversification, hedge against the risk while preserving profitability. That's the underlying principle. Then it says you're highly correlated. The correlation, now we're getting into the formulae, the statistics. The correlation looks at the relationships, and the relationship is how does it relate to the portfolio objective? Characteristics, attributes, risk return. These are some critical questions for asset allocation. What are the classes, what asset classes to consider for the investment? What normal or policy weights to assign to each eligible class? Determining the allowable allocation ranges based on policy weights. What specific securities to purchase for the portfolio? Some of that is just very good reading. I'm confident that you're aware of those. Various asset classes ranked in terms of riskiness. Pretty standard information, right? Right? Some of which we already went to. And you see, as we go through the slides, you will see, because we did some of those questions, because you're doing the mock, a lot of this now is pretty standard and make it even be perceived as straightforward, right? Let me just go back. Derivatives, commodities, currencies, real estate. This other category, emerging markets. These are investment grade, credit rating, investment grade, certain commercial paper, money market funds. These are some words that will jump out in some of your questions, and I just want you to probably just do a quick read on those terminologies. Money market funds, investment grade, emerging markets, derivatives, commodities, and see how they relate in the context of your question, right? It's just some information that I was wanted to give you in terms of risk and return against the asset classes. Inflation, we talked about that. Remember, we were always talking about the economic environment and what that would mean. So I say it's a method to my madness. So I kind of ready give you the full slide, but you're just seeing the material. So now when you see it, it makes sense. Measuring risk, profitability, not meeting your investment return objectives, focusing on return variability. Good. And we are summarizing asset allocation. Like I said, diversify, mitigate risk, preserve the returns. Or capital corpus. Remember I mentioned corpus. Corpus. It's a good word, right? It's a good word. Sounds nice. Or investment principle. Look at this. You see this right here? This is that slide in a whole snapshot. Select your investments, construct a portfolio, and then evaluate it. And then it tells you all the factors that you need to be doing as you construct. You need to diversify, you need to show a correlation, the benchmark alignment. When you're evaluating, make sure you have an understanding, alignment of risk, investment conviction, alignment of risk, reinvestment, hedging against those risk factors. Right? Macro view, which one?
Over here.
Oh, macro view. Well, macro view is just synonymous to benchmark alignment. Macro view is really just, let me have a high level view of either the class of portfolios or homogeneous investments, right? And then see how they correlate, right? Because I may need to divest, or I may need to even further invest or reinvest elsewhere, repurchase. It all depends on, and this, again, this is a portfolio. This is saying I'm not going to focus on the unit elasticity. I'm going to focus on the elasticity, or I'm going to focus on the overall performance of the portfolio and not just one segment. Summary. Some of which we already talked about. I'm going to go over quickly, some websites you can look at. Some good reading for you. What is investment? What is an investment? We spoke about that, right? We're going to get into the formulae. I'm going to touch it a little bit for you. Kind of skip over all of that.
Investments online,
Yeah. Remember I told you? Risk and return. Expected rate of inflation, uncertainty of future payments, expenditure of capital with the expectation of returns. Returns equals return of capital and return on capital. Remember that one too, okay? That could come in a question. How is risk defined? We kind of get that. What does it mean to be risk averse? We got that. Risky assets. One whose return is not guaranteed. A lot of what I have here, I just give you the information because they like to throw out, I don't know if you're noticing in the mock, the way this is written, they would probably say a risky asset is one whose return is not, and one answer just be guaranteed. You see what I mean? Like to complete the sentence. And so that's why I just give you certain sentences that I know. They're like certain catchphrases. So don't disregard them because we're kind of going over them. But I just want you to have a quick read because it's not substantive material. I stretch a little bit. Calculations. We can go a little bit into that. Markowitz Modern Portfolio Theory, MPT. Do a little research on this. When we get back to class, we're going all into this. This is the efficiency frontier. I can try to make it as enjoyable. Right? We can have some bumpy rides going into it, but
That one pops up on the mock too a lot.
yeah.
They just ask what it is. To
Yeah.
identify which model they use for portfolio management.
Yeah. This is like this is the daddy. This is the grandfather. You know they say know who your daddy is? This right here. Market risk one portfolio theory. Portfolio distributions measure risk as variance. Remember I told you standard deviation, the mean. Investor decisions consider only the risk of return of an investment opportunity. Investors are generally risk averse. What this means here, standard deviation, measure risk as a variance, expected returns mean. Variance of risk and expected returns, right? This is a diversification theory. Higher expected return with the same or lower risk, that is your standard deviation, or lower risk with the same or higher expected return. Low risk, low standard deviation with the same high expected return mean. It sounded like foreign language now, right? Okay, let me kind of jump. I put some captions, like quick snapshots, so I can go right into a quick example. This is the kind of question that can come up. If your mean is your expected return and your standard deviation is your level of risk, which of the following portfolios cannot be efficient?
I chose B, but I don't know what.
I just read this.
I took B.
B and C.
I took
B and C?
You say which? Oh.
Which of the
Okay.
following portfolios cannot be efficient? Remember I told you the efficiency
What
front
did
there.
you say?
Let's go
C,
back.
I
Let's
would
go back.
say. C, eh?
Let's go back. An investment is considered to be efficient if no other investment offers a higher expected return with the same level of risk, right? Or low risk with a high expected return. So, high mean and a moderately high standard deviation, or low deviation and a high mean, right? Now the question asks you the opposite.
So that'd be, or cannot be efficient.
Cannot be efficient.
So that'd be C, because it has a higher standard deviation. And a
Yeah,
lower
let's see.
Is it? Cannot be efficient. All right.
This one is a low
Okay.
mean and a high deviation.
Okay. Which one of these investment has the highest level of risk?
B.
Which one of these has the lowest level of risk? Which one has moderate? Now, based on the risk, if we use a degrees of freedom or just a spread, nothing scientific right now, between the mean and the standard deviation is a 2% spread in A. There's a 1% spread in C. And there's a 4% spread in B. That spread 2, 1, 4. If you were to draft your efficiency front tail, the way that would fall, remember, 0, 1, -1, plus negative, right? Is more efficient when it's closer to 0, right? This is 2, that's 1, that's 4. Exactly. Now you see why I asked you that question. Everybody get that? See what I said? Yeah. I can shut it down right now, because then it going into some formulae and we don't worry. Let's put it back here.
Yeah, it's a question unknown, but that's what I wanted you to go over actually.
That's it right there.
The one with
We can shut it down right there. Everybody get that? 9 o'clock. Georgina, you got that?
Oh, nice number 6.
No.
All right. When we go into the efficiency frontier, we'll talk about it a little bit some more, okay? But ultimately, what I want you to do is, for right now, look at the spread between the mean and the standard deviation. That's a 2% spread, right?
Right.
For C, that's a 1% spread.
Right.
And then for C, that's for B, that's a 4% spread. Right?
Right.
And you remember the question from the homework that I sent you for your review?
One's closest to 0.
Yes.
Yep.
Just for right now. And so this one here is the least closest to 0. So they said that cannot be efficient.
Okay.
So the one that would be efficient
Would be C.
would be C. You see what I mean? Because see here, it says higher return with the same or lower standard deviation.
Okay, yeah. Okay, because it's 1%.
Ah, you got me.
1, yeah. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So we'll pick it up next class, okay?
Awesome.
I'll send you some formulae
And then question.
and some questions. Not formulae, just questions. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good one.
You can go ahead.
So C would be the best portfolio then, based on that, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for dinner.
No problem.